Hi, this is Barushka, and welcome to Salt of the Earth. And today I'm interviewing on the special day of 11/11, new moon in Scorpio. I invited to chat with Elise Perez, and she's of Reawakening Hearts. She's an amazing light worker, and I noticed her online activating twin flames, and I'm really engaged in that as well. And I just love her energy and the spirit and her realness and her transparency about things. So I'm really excited that she was open to interview with me. So welcome, Elise. Tell me what you do and what you call yourself.
Okay, so it's hard to go by any one name, and because we revamp ourselves many times as we go along in our ascension, but I think I just go by, like, there's a lot of things. Sometimes I'm like a romantic scientist or an emotional genius or an energy expert. I'm an expert in law of attraction, but it really comes down to what I have realized. All of this is the core of all of this is the awakening hearts, the being the inspirer of people to come back into their heart center and learning about, or I think the main thing that I teach about is how to follow your heart, how to open your heart, and everything that goes along that, as far as, because that's an imperative component of the ascension process. So whatever that means for any individual is what I'm going to be assisting them in doing, and pointing out the blocks along the way to help them overcome that too.
And how do you work with people in overcoming their blocks? Is it all heart-based?
Yeah, it's an empathic trait. So I would say that I'm like an advanced empath. So as I'm talking to someone, I can feel what they feel. I can feel their energy. I can feel their core essence. And I can feel the blocks between their core essence and who they're being right now. So all I do is just, as I'm doing a reading or a session with someone, I would be like, oh, I feel this in you. I feel that in you. And sometimes they can't recognize that right away, So I would let them go on a little bit until they say something, and I'm like, oh, that thing you just said, that's the thing that I just mentioned a minute ago. That's what that is. And then, you're helping people understand themselves, because we all know that, oh, we want to be perfect right now. We want to be ascended right now, but there's just some things that we can't put our finger on. And I think that I would be the light bringer of those truths. And, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So I help people to understand themselves better, who they truly are at their core, because we all need a reminder of that sometimes. And then the questions of, well, what are my blocks? Why am I not here yet? What do I need to change? Those kind of things. Not that anybody needs to do anything, but if you desire to, embody more light, then I'm just one of those little guides for that.
And how did you get to do the work that you're doing? What led you to this passion?
I've always been heart-centered. I remember when I was very, very young, and I didn't really have any structure in my life, but I remember I just always knew that there was a God before anybody ever said anything to me, or before there was even enough. I was old enough to maybe have that conversation. I used to sing to God and just do I just felt everything. And if you're only in one body having one experience, you don't recognize how different you are. So I guess I didn't realize that, but in my adult life, it became wanting to do better, wanting to improve, searching for something. And so I became very I would read a lot of self-help, and then I studied law of attraction for 7 years, and just there must be more, and then just reading more and more. And then I learned how to just completely learn via my guides and synchronicities in the universe, and now I channel, and so I'm completely opened up. But I guess it was just I followed my heart all the way through. I followed my heart in every interaction. I let my heart win, and that never steered me wrong. And now I want to teach everyone else how to do that.
And what motivates you right now in the work that you're doing?
It's a hard thing because sometimes, like, I've realized now in my journey that if I'm not a bringer of light, I have no purpose here. Like, my number one only purpose here is to be an ascension pioneer and to reawaken hearts. So it's like, if I'm not doing my mission, you know how they say, like, follow your joy, that's your passion, like, that's your mission. That's what it is for me. Like, if I'm not doing this, there's no alternative. Like, I can't not do this. So I can't give up because it's too much of an integral part of what my heart wants, and I won't deny that. It can be very, very hard feeling like I'm not helping enough or making enough difference or doing enough, because as light, we always feel that way. We always want to do more and bring more light because we don't realize how much light we already do bring. But what motivates me is seeing those differences, not necessarily people thanking me, but like, I can feel the transition when I talk to people. Like, I had somebody over last night out of the blue, just like, because I was guided to work with him, and I was like, I work with anyone spirit tells me to. So I had him over, and I could feel like how he showed up, and that I left him in a much better place than how he came, and that made me feel good. So that's my drive.
So do you feel like there is an ambition in it almost, or like a pressure to? I mean, I completely resonate with what you're saying and all the descriptions of it, but when you get to that sort of maybe impotent feeling sometimes of like, do I have a purpose? Or I noticed just this week you posted something in your group about maybe having some doubt or frustration. Do you want to share about that and what happened and how you dealt with it?
Yeah, so like I said, it's really disheartening when you feel like you can't make the change that you want to make. And I was going through, I have another page or a group that is entitled Cosmic Energy Updates, because waves of energy come through to teach us something, and like maybe more than one person will feel it, but it kind of ends up being like a cosmic theme. And then if you're at that point in your ascension, you're probably going to feel that little dip or that little up, So I was feeling like, oh my God, I'm a failure, because basically there was one person that I couldn't turn. There was one person that I couldn't inspire to change that I know of. And I let that make me feel like a failure, that one person. But in that process, I was like, okay, obviously, what am I learning here? And it turned out to be that in my letting one person determine my value, I was doing the same thing that he was doing. I was allowing, myself to be reflected in him. And I just had to realize okay, so obviously that's dumb. So what now? Oh, we're going to step into our divinity. Yes, I'm a bringer of light. Yes, I make a difference. And I can't let or allow anyone else to create the illusion for myself that I don't make that difference, because I know that I do. I know that I'm a spiritual pioneering ascension badass, and I try to inspire that in everyone else, because you know what? The truth is, when it comes to that point where you want to lose hope, that's when you know that you are meant to be here, because the truth is, we are divinely placed. We're placed here on purpose, and so you can't deny that.
So who is your support system when you hit these rocky times? Do you feel like you're just really connected with your guides? Do you go within, or do you go without for some guidance and support?
I have a huge support system of light workers that I've come in contact with over the course of, basically I attracted all this since I started channeling 1 year ago, and people just were really, really attracted to my channelings, and I became friends with people, and a lot of people that I've done readings for, if I can sense, because I can also sense the abilities, the intuitive abilities of another person. And if they're at a point where they can help me when I'm having a rough time, then I kind of just take them on as a friend, because that's of immense value to have a support system and like to be able to help each other. And I can't just rely on anyone to help me, you know, like I can't just go to any old therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's the challenge.
a lot of them are like just clients that I've had in the past that I turned into like friends, and now we just help each other. And a lot of them are like followers and people coming out of the woodwork when I need it. I have multiple groups and I share in a lot of places. I'm kind of like very entrenched in the twin flame scene, and people have, you know, kind of getting to recognize me after a while now. So I have a good support system through my consistency in fulfilling my mission.
Do you feel like the year before this, before you started the channeling, did you have any isolated times in what you were going through or wanting to express and share?
Isolated times?
Yeah, like no support and having to just completely have faith in what was coming through and what you wanted to share? Or has it been?
Before I started channeling, I didn't really know my direction. So there were many years that went by that I was working on myself to develop my abilities and to develop my knowledge in myself, because I knew that I had a purpose and I couldn't quite figure out what it was. And I did a lot of things that were stepping stones along the way. Like I used to do tarot, and that was a stepping stone along the way that helped me grow. And I used to, you know, I took wherever I was at, whatever I could grasp at the moment, and used it, you know, as my current mission for the moment. I was like, okay, like whatever I could reach at that point. And I was like, this is just I just have to reach for whatever I can in the moment. And that's what they say in Law of Attraction. They say you just do whatever you can in the moment that you can. And then eventually that led me to, like, I never tried to channel. I never knew I was a channel. That happened all of a sudden. And then I started following that. So I never needed I never was fulfilling my mission that completely or that much out there or actively before I started channeling. So I didn't need like that big of a support system. But my support system was always following my guidance and then noticing when I would speak to people that I felt guided, like their reaction. That was like my support system. Like I just knew that I was good. I knew that I was good innately, but I was also good at what I did because I could see the reaction.
You seem like you've really sort of mastered this faith and going with and totally trusting in whatever channel that you had in that time, at that given time. What do you mean by channeling? Who or what are you channeling?
Okay, so first let's start off with the idea that everything is channeled. We're channeling all the time. Our guidance comes through all the time because, you know, we're physical beings, or we're spiritual beings having a physical experience. So, you know, we take it for granted what's happening in our head, thinking anything in your head comes from you, and it doesn't. But you're just used to these conversations and these insights, and so it doesn't feel like anything different. But like, you know, sometimes when you have like that aha, really good idea, or oh, I got the answer to this, oh, I thought of this, I just had an insight, those are all channeled ideas. Those are all channeled. So basically there's like a big web of telepathic communication happening in the universe, and you can pick up on any frequency depending on where you're at. So to me, but everything is filtered through your current beliefs. So if you believe that you channel a one singular entity, when you begin channeling, that's what it will present like to you, a one singular entity. I would identify the entities because, like, it's the same way that as an empath, I would identify people's core essence. And so I would be like there's a lot of teachers that I had known. So maybe Abraham would come through and I'd be like, oh my God, that's Abraham. I know that voice, or Bashar, I know that voice, And then I realized as I was channeling more and more that it would be this one and then this one, and it wasn't only one all the way through. And then eventually I was like, they're all together. They're all in on it. So
I love it. I've never heard anything quite like that. I mean, not that I get to ask this question much, but yeah, my partner always says, you're in on it.
Yeah, it's like all the light beings are in on it, and I call it now unity consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when at the end of my channels, I always put unity consciousness, because there's a lot of input there from a lot of places. I've been channeling Cryon as well, and even Cryon explains himself as something that cannot be fully explained in this, in our dimension, but it's like not a one singular entity, something so vast as what you would think of like God, but not. He's not saying that he's God. I think he tries to impart in our heads subtly that God is everything at once, and God is simply everything, and we can't quite grasp that. But it's a big, broad unity consciousness, and there's definitely something that happens when I channel that is different, and I know that it's not like my mental body. So, I don't know, that's how I started to know that it was channeling, because I had no thought process involved in what I was creating, and it was totally amazing and coherent, and I was like, well, that didn't come from me.
And do you just write it down? Do you handwrite it? Do you type it? Or when it's coming through, how do you retain it in that moment?
You can't always sit down and type whenever you're getting a message. Sometimes downloads will take a few days to completely come to fruition, because you get pieces of it, and then the universe provides a little synchronicity, and it's like, oh, here's the other piece of it, here's the next piece of it. And as you're learning to be more aware, more conscious, and look at the synchronicities and listen to the guidance all at once, you're allowing more and more pieces to fall into place as they need to. And then all of a sudden, when you have the full idea, you know it. So then I can feel my vibrations start to raise, or somebody kind of like, okay, do you want to channel now or whatever? And I'll sit down, and it's like being in a different realm when you're doing it. I don't even type the right way, but I type very, very fast. I get the messages out very, very quick. And it's totally a guided, inspired action. Because I just don't think that working as a normal human, you can't be that productive.
Do you think? Oh, go ahead. Okay. Do you think that I wasn't really planning to go here, but do you think you would suggest or recommend to people who are doing soul work or wanting to open their heart more, would you suggest that they lean into opening up, receiving messages? Do you think that's important? Would you recommend it? Or would it make someone feel crazy or have self-doubt?
But you're ascending, you're kind of going crazy, and then you learn how to ground the energies back in 3D. So that's why we go up and down, because you're going up into other realms, higher realms. You're bringing the information back down and grounding it in a way where you can, teach it or use it in a 3D where it can make sense, like what I'm doing now. I had a vision in the very beginning that, oh my gosh, everyone is going to learn to channel. And I knew that everyone is already channeling. Channeling is no different from telepathic communication. Channeling is no different from listening to your guidance, talking to your guides, or following your heart. It's all the same thing. I just translate it into a articulate combination of words,
Yeah.
the way that I translate it. Some people translate it in art, but it's all the same. And it's a pivotal part of ascension, because that is your guidance, that is your open communication, and channeling is going to be it's like the opening to the new telepathic way that the new earth is going to be. And actually, it's funny that you asked this particular question, because Cryon just verified this for me. I was listening to him the other day, and he's like, everyone needs to learn to channel. And I was like, I know, yes!
So this summer I was at this amazing concert, and every single thing about the experience was so complete that I was so fulfilled. I was in this foreign country, the most amazing music, the most amazing light show, confetti flying through the air, my twin flame holding me, complete whispering, I love you, I love you, I love you, and fireworks going off. And I was just like, thank you, thank you. And oh no, I want to beam this out to the world. I want everyone to feel, I want to bless the world with it. This is possible. And then I was so conflicted. I'm like, what's a higher vibration? Saying thank you and being grateful, or blessing other people and wishing them well? And I just thought that's kind of a curious question, if one or the other holds a higher vibration.
I think that, okay, Matt Kahn would say bless, but what is bless? Think about, feel all of the words that you're saying. Bless, gratitude, love. They're all the same. When you're feeling them fully and purely, they're all the same. It's just different interpretations or intentions behind the energy, or how you're going to channel that energy.
So you would say they hold the same intention or vibe.
They're all the highest vibration. Love is gratitude, is blessing, and that's, you know, that's what you feel when you channel that universal connection to universal love. So yeah, I think it's all the same. You can't feel love without adding to the vibration of the universe, and you can't like feel love without wishing that. You know what I mean? For everyone.
Yeah, that's true. So in this day and age, if people are coming to you and they feel isolated and alone, are suffering from depression, or have bipolar or anxiety or panic attacks and feelings of unworthiness, and yet they really want their twin flame, you know, there's this longing, this contrast, and this maybe this belief that they won't be happy or fulfilled until that happens. What do you tell people like that?
Well, you've pointed out something very important, which is you can't get into union from there. A lot of people almost don't even want to do twin flame readings anymore. I'm like, how do I not call it this anymore? Because people are like they come to me like, I want to know about my twin flame. Like, I want to, you know, tell me about my twin flame. And I'm like, you can't get there from there. Let's work on you. Like, this is all about you. And it can be the hardest thing for people to, some people won't feel fulfilled with that, but I'm not going to lie, you know, it's all about you. And so they come to me with that. And, you know, you mentioned anxiety, isolation, loneliness, unworthiness. All of that has to be resolved first. And that's not a result of the twin flame. The twin flame is simply showing you that exists, that you need to resolve that. Mm-hmm. And union occurs after you resolve all of that. So I try to explain all these things to people. And then once you explain that process, that this is definitely all about you, the laws of the universe are not, you know, siding with anyone in particular. They treat everyone the same. So you just have to get into this vibration. Mm-hmm. And you can't make that like dependent upon uniting with your twin flame, that because it just won't happen. So then you get into the more nitty gritty of, okay, I'm feeling anxiety, and then I can kind of point out, okay, like what are the roots of that, or like does this make you feel that? Maybe. And then getting to, everybody has beliefs that cause them to feel a certain way. So I kind of point out the beliefs and then point out how we can change those or where they came from.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, if people are suffering from depression, how do you guide them?
Now there's a difference between a person suffering depression who truly wants help, meaning they want to help themselves and they just simply are seeking guidance so that they can know how to do that. And it seems that there's some people that just won't make the transition. Like they're like continuously reaching out but never making any transition. So I try to, and a lot of other light workers feel this way too, that I try to give the most energetic response to the ones that I know are going to use that energy in the highest way possible. So I always, like, when somebody comes to me and they're like, expressing those feelings of depression, no matter what I'm doing, I'll always be like, okay, I'm here. Talk to me. I will be that person that will be like, I'm here. I understand. I get you. Talk to me. You're normal. Like, this happens. And try to at least, some people just need to be understood. Like, oh my God, because that says that you care. You care enough to pay attention enough to me, to understand me. Like, that takes focus and energy and care, So sometimes only that is what people need. And sometimes people just need to vent, like they need to listen to all their problems or whatever.
Well, if they have someone to, what would be if someone's isolating because they are just feeling so stuck? What would be 3 self-help tips you would give them to get out of it, for them to
isolating themselves? So, okay, this was covered in the messages of today of 11:11. It's about, like, the whole Make-A-Wish thing that's connected with 11:11. It's about reach out. Just reach out. You have to grab what you want or go for what you want. Otherwise, you will never, ever have it. So if I can reach, I feel so much for all those people who isolate themselves and don't reach out, because my twin flame is that. And I can't help him no matter how much I reach out to him. He won't reach out to me because he feels too low for that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so it makes me feel for everyone who is too isolated to reach out. And I would say that it's not like what you think. It's not like people don't care like what you think. There are people out there that, like me, that really truly do care and want goodness and reawakening for people. And I would say you just have to reach out. And if one person doesn't do it, keep reaching. You're here. Like, reach out while you're here,
Well, what are some practical applications of that? People joining a Facebook group and if they really are feeling cut off.
Yeah, like, so you can open a Facebook group with a fake name so that you don't have to identify yourself, and like join the depression support groups. There's some really good ones out there that I've seen. I have one called,
what's yours called?
Depression Means You're Human, FTW for the win. So I'm really humanizing this idea and getting rid of the stigma is my idea. So that's an awesome support group. Anybody can go there and vent all you want, and then that's the place to do that. That's the place to get that support no matter how low that you are. And then I've seen some other ones that are really good that, they have memes from superstars that are like, the best decision I ever made was not killing myself. Like, I don't know if that sounds inspirational right now, but the way they presented it is.
Yeah. Well, that is so amazing that you opened a space up just like that too. So you mentioned your twin flame not being able to reach out, so he wouldn't reach out. But do you reach out to him, or how do you reach out to him when you feel like he's not open? Receptive.
Okay, so I want to be better at this. So if anybody can give me, ideas on how to inspire people to awaken their hearts better. That's like, I'm seeking to be like the best at this. So the way that I try to reach him is well, first of all, I will feel him, and then I'll feel guided to say something, and whatever I feel guided to say, I say. So I will say whatever I need to, you know, like maybe reminding him of who he is, of who I know that he is, that I will never lose sight of that, you know, the potential that I feel for him, you know, that the reason why I love him and all the wonderful things that even in his ignorance of me that he gave me, you know, like I could have never reached this point if it wasn't for him ignoring me. And, you know,
wow, I have a very similar situation. That's so interesting. I know we haven't talked about this, but does he know you're his twin flame?
I've never said that to him. He is no fool. He was the first one actually to come to me and confirm the connection with, like, verbally. So he's no fool. He knows all of this. He just basically, I try to reach him by reminding him that he is loved and that I know and see and understand and feel him.
Do you have an idea or a dream or a wish that you will be united in this life?
I don't wish to be reunited with him. My love for him has gone past the union or the romantic part, which it's not like I can't imagine that. Like, I don't want people to think that, you know, I'm like trying to make this something it's not. No, like I can totally, like, if it were to pan out that we would, you know, have a chance to be a romantic situation and it was good or whatever, I'm not saying that I couldn't feel that way, because I definitely could. But honestly, like, it's come to a point where the love that I have for him, the only thing that would make me feel the most satisfied, or, you know, the union in my idea would be his awakening and his coming into, like, the self-love and embracing love, or open heart for himself. And whether that ends up in the unification and romantically or not, or as friends, that's all I want for him, is for him to be able to reach out and be able to receive all the help and love and guidance that he needs for himself. And because I do feel that he would be a very, very powerful source of light for the earth, especially where he's come from, the depths of where he's come from. So I feel like that might be meant, you know, for him to simply become a source of light.
So it's almost the common thing where we see the potential in the other, and you see the huge potential. Is your partner threatened by this at all?
I'm very, very open, and I do not compromise my soulmate connections or my twin flame connection for anyone. So I'm very open with him, and I've told him the situation. He does not feel threatened. We are working on his ego a little bit, because there are certain situations where it comes up, and but not even having to do with my twin, just like even simpler than that. But we're working on that. So that's something that he knows that he needs to work on. But I think he doesn't feel threatened because me and my twin don't really talk very much. And I think it's possible he could in the future, you know, like, feel threatened if we were talking more. But right now, he's fine knowing what he knows. And we'll, you know, deal with that when it comes.
So, it being the new moon today and a Make-A-Wish day, what's the next vision for yourself? Is there a wish you would share openly right now?
Yes. Well, you know, like I said, my truest desire is to see hearts like graduating into love. So I would love to see that. But I mean, for myself, let's say it's a wish for myself, I would like to transition fully into, being a light worker full time so that I can fulfill my mission on a greater capacity, on a greater scale, to the best of my ability, because I know I'm good at what I do and I know that it's needed. So I think that's going to be my goal for, this year.
I love it. And you also work a lot with the law of attraction. So do you feel like this confidence and almost like an expectation in it? Like what would you say the formula is that you apply since you are a good manifester already?
So I get what you're saying about that. In this situation, let's see. I do feel the confidence, like every time that I work with someone, it feels good, and I feel like, I've done my job correctly. I feel like very equipped to work with anyone who comes my way. So it's not a matter of that. A little bit of it in this situation is I feel like I'm still a little bit, like my guidance has told me, you're not a nurse for no reason either. And I'm actually touching the people that I'm working with in my cases. So that might be something that, guidance just doesn't want me to transition fully out of yet. So I think those two things are at play. There's a lot of transitions that just occurred in my life, as with the entire cosmos. So things are about to change, I think, for everyone for the better, in leading to Gaia. But there's a little bit of where you're supposed to be right now, and a little bit of get into alignment with where you want to be. So I think that's kind of the recalibration that we're in right now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you next, of how would you describe the subtle difference of encouraging people to step into their power and being of service and humility and respecting Gaia, or connecting to the earth, or getting grounded. I mean, do you see the mandala that I'm talking about? I mean, it's a lot of contrast, and it's a delicate balancing act.
Two sides of the coin. So you're talking about humility and like how do you be so good at something and not like prideful, and like still attain that level of humility. Well, I think that a good metaphor for that is how do you accomplish the open-hearted detachment? How do you accomplish being completely unconditionally open-hearted and letting it all out, and being completely raw, and then but not attached to outcome? I kind of see that as the same level of difficulty, and I would say that I'm completely confident in what I do. Like I said, I feel like pioneering ascension badass, but that's only because I am being of service. Like, I'm dedicated to being of service. That in itself is humility. And I think that if you think about those two things, Jesus showed us that too, that he is a powerful being, but that being humble doesn't mean not knowing your power. It's when you're a being of mastery, you always let love win. And at the same time, you say what you know needs to be said, and you do what you know needs to be done. So does that describe it?
That's like trusting yourself.
Trusting yourself, and being guided, like knowing, okay, well, I'm only doing what I'm guided to do. How can you go wrong then?
So you mentioned Gaia. How are you sharing with the people you work with how to connect to that? It seems a little ungraspable, or that's one word. Is it Mother Earth? Is it an Earth Spirit? I mean, how do you encourage people to connect with Gaia?
I use different terminology. Well, first of all, I'm not going to present information to someone that doesn't want it. So I only say what I'm guided to say. And I've been working, I have 2 different cases that are really awesome. I've been working with them for a while now. So naturally conversation progresses. And I use different terminology. I use terminology that they're going to know. But, you know, conversation just comes up and you just become guided. And I'm a person that, yes, I can be obviously like 3D, but I spend most of my time talking about like spiritual concepts. That's what I'm mostly interested in. And I think that it balances it out for these people where they can receive it because they're totally entrenched in the 3D realm, but they're still spiritual beings. So then I come in, you know, once or twice a week when I come in and I'm like, yeah, auras, have you ever heard of that? Let's do a tarot reading. And they're like, oh, this is so cool. So like it just kind of goes along like that. It's guided conversation.
But as far as specifically the earth, do you feel like people need to have a new awareness about where we live and what's going on? I mean,
yeah, I think that it's not like, oh, we need to get into shape. It's like when people start, yes, everybody needs to make the transition into open-heartedness, because if you don't do that, you destroy your world, which is what we've seen. That's what everything is showing us, is that, oh, when you don't grasp open-heartedness, it just leads to negativity and destruction. Okay. So I think, you know, it kind of takes hitting rock bottom before you can like become enlightened for a lot of people, or a lot of paths. So I think that's kind of where the earth has been. Like, you know, we've seen like all the death and negativity and all that. And it makes people like want to reach for light, because that's the opposite end of where we are. So Gaia is the future earth, but Gaia is a vibration. We can't live on Gaia until all of us are open-hearted. But that's what's going to create Gaia. So that happens one person at a time. So people like you and me and all the rest of the light workers, the more that each one of us gets into gear individually on an individual level, the more hearts that we can touch, and the more that we can spread this awakening of heart-centered being like a virus. And that's going to lead to Gaia. It doesn't really happen by threat of destruction. It happens by, I think it's like a natural spiritual common sense that comes into play.
mm-hmm. Do you follow astrology or recommend it to people when they're questioning things?
Yes. Well, when they're questioning things, I mean, sometimes astrology, in my experience, can give you false hope. Kind of like foretelling can give you false hope.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, today Venus and Mars are conjunct. Oh, it's the perfect day for my twin flame to text me, and then he doesn't text you, and you're like sad all over again. So I don't recommend using astrology to depict like when your twin flame is going to come back. Don't do that. But, you know, when I started realizing that I was in tune with the cosmic energy waves of the universe and like what was coming through, and that it was linked to, I would look up the astrology, I would do like an energy report, and then I would look up the astrology and be like, it's all in alignment. So it is a thing that is really, really good for us to understand where we are. It helps you understand the transitions that you are already making. It helps you put words to it, to describe it, to define it. Don't use it to foretell, but use it to help you along in your own mission. I do recommend studying astrology, being up to date. I love the Leo King. Numerology is also a very important thing that's going to come into play, which we've been noticing via initially synchronicity.
Mm. So if you had all the money in the world right now, what would you do with it?
Honestly, this might sound like dumb or, you know, like cliche or whatever, but I would just like use that money to do my purpose fully. I mean, I can do my purpose from anywhere in the world, so I would probably travel and meet a lot of people and do a lot of self-growth things, but only so that I can fulfill my mission on like a greater scale. Like the only reason why I charge for my services at all is just because right now at this time, in order for me to do my work, like there has to be an even exchange of energy. And right now, like money is what allows you the freedom to do your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had all the money in the world, that's what I would do. I would just continue pursuing my purpose full time.
So if you're saying to reach people on a larger scale, what is it that you want the world to know right now, and either as the collective or the individual?
Okay, so when it comes to, there's like a theme in humanity that, you know, the head-heart struggle is a theme. People don't think that you can use your head and your heart at the same time. But what makes me great at what I do, I realize now, is that I do unite the two. And that is going to be like the new template for humans. We can be logical and heart-centered and follow our hearts at the same time. So I would want people to know that following your heart is not silly. It's actually a very, very intelligent thing that we're coming into. It's like a higher intelligence, emotional intelligence. And what would I want the whole world to know? It's hard to describe it. Probably I'm here for you. We're all in this together. And reach out, you know, invest in your own awakening. Invest in the assistance and getting the assistance that you need to open your heart fully and be the being that you truly are. When you show the universe, like I did this, you know, when you show the universe that and yourself that you're willing to invest in yourself, that's a very powerful transformational technique because it's a self-loving action.
And are you saying investing in yourself, would that be like reaching out? You're saying, hey, I want to change. Is that really like being honest with yourself?
It's
in reaching out.
Like being able to come to terms with, what do I truly want? You know, like, let me follow my joy. Like, what do I feel like this can help me? Like, whatever I feel like I need, I am going to give that to myself. And not putting any, like, barriers on it. You know, whatever you need, do it for yourself. That's self-love. And when we can all start doing that for ourselves, we can become the people that inspire that in the collective and everyone else. It's like a virus.
Mm-hmm. Well, would you like to, on the special day, do any guided visualization, or in regards to, you actually initiated sending love to your twin flame today at a certain time. Do you want to talk about that and maybe even lead us on a visualization?
Sure. So,
or give us some guidance.
Yeah, I would like to say that I think what's coming to me right now is the difference between success and failure in all things that we're seeking is hope. Now, hope sounds like, what is hope? But if you have no hope, you have no leg to stand on. So I would say everyone transition into hope. And then one of the reasons why I made this day, like this event for 11/11, is because not only are the numbers of today magnifying the intentions of the energies that you put out, but it's also, oh, I got lost. So the energies are magnified on 11/11, but I wanted people to grasp the particular type of energy that we want to be putting out today. A lot of people are mad at their twin flames, or they've lost hope, and it's difficult to send out love without wanting something in return. Yeah. Without hoping that something happens when you send that love out. And today, when you send out that love, it needs to be from a pure place of being unconditional, which means intending love and healing for that person, and that's it. So I want people to know that about the love and intentions that they send today. And in my website, reawakeninghearts.com, the top post right now is the prayer that I channeled last night regarding, or it's kind of like a little poem. Yeah, just an idea for a prayer that people can do with all the places that we want to focus. It's like, you know, wishing to clear doubts and fears from the collective, and wishing that everyone will feel the love in our hearts, and that we will fulfill our missions, and that our light will touch everyone. So on this day, or on any day that you want to send love and healing light, I would say, you know, that's a really good prayer or intention to have. And I'm always putting stuff out there, but yeah, just grasping that your love focus, that I want to send you this love so that you may be healed.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of wanting something in return. I think that's an important thing to point out. And then maintaining that level of hope where you can get there to do that.
Well, I mean, on the flip side of that, if someone is really just so attached to their twin flame or have that idea, I mean, do you feel everyone is meant to join with someone? I mean, the human experience, what do you say to people, you know, who are really still attached to an outcome? I mean, like what you're saying is true, but it's you know, I still think when we're still in that unworthiness, there is almost like that lack of love to be able to send.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good, you just pointed out a good thing, that when you're on the feeling of unworthiness is when you're attached to the outcome. Realize, number one, that you're letting another person determine your value, or, you know, like, oh, I'm not good enough unless this person validates me in this way, you know. So that's just a really good thing to simply become aware of, that that's what you're doing. And then number two is, you know, if you feel that way, you don't have to make it wrong. You might need to go ahead, and something is missing in the picture if you're still there. So number one, are you following your heart? Are you expressing to your twin flame whatever it is that you need to express? Not to get an outcome, but just because you need to allow yourself that expression. Whatever you're feeling is not wrong. So if you feel like you can't reach that love and you don't want to do it, don't do it. You know, do whatever you want to do and be okay with that. You know what? I don't feel like sending love today, and I'm not gonna, and that's okay. That's so much better than judging yourself for it. So if that's what you truly want to do, I support that too. Open-hearted detachment, open heart plus detachment is the core, most difficult combination of ideas that we're trying to accomplish in this truly becoming heart-centered. Heart-centered and open-hearted is unconditional. Ultimately, that's what it is. And we get there one step at a time. We don't get there all at once. So don't anybody beat up on yourselves for not being there. But, you know, as long as you're working towards that and taking in information and seeking guidance, and, you know, at least setting the intentions that, you know, Spirit, help me to overcome any blocks that I may have, and please give me all the tools that I need to solve this mystery. That's all that you can do, and let all that you can do be enough for yourself.
Would you recommend people to release their twin flame so that when it happens, it's a complete surprise?
You have to, on a level, release them, but because your twin flame is your greatest catalyst, they're always going to come back to you and bring that wave of pain, and then that brings the new lesson. So yes, release the attachment to the outcome of needing to be with your twin flame. I know how impossible it sounds. I know how, when you're in that place, I've totally been there, even though I'm in union with, you know, a harmonic soulmate. Like, I've been there where the thought of anyone else was just repulsive, and I couldn't imagine it. I couldn't deal all of that. So I understand the hopelessness associated with that, but at the same time, that wasn't the highest self-love for me to be having at that moment for myself. Like, I set myself free by not needing something in my 3D. Let your twin flame go, and then at the same time learn from the pain that comes and learn to act on it and say, what is this teaching me? Because that's all it is. It's a teacher.
So you're saying to welcome and lean into the pain it activates because it's there for clearing.
Yeah, like, you're not going to be able to permanently let your twin flame go. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this predicament at all.
Mm-hmm.
So let them go when you feel like you can. And then when everything comes back, the pain or whatever, that's fine. Yes, lean into that. Say, what is this teaching me? What is the purpose here? Make it a purposeful thing instead of simply all about pain.
And so would you recommend that people should be invoking their twin flame in this life and be asking to be met?
If you're, that's fine to want it, especially before you meet your twin flame, to set that intention of, I'd like to meet my twin flame. You have no idea what you're in for, but that's fine. It's like the universe is like, yeah, we got him, all right. So sure, invoke your twin flame. When you've already met your twin flame, there's a fine line of, am I trying to control the situation? You know, by oh, what do I need to do to get my twin flame? How do I need to change to get my twin flame? What invocation could I say to attract my twin flame back into my life? Like, what do I need to do? Is it controlling? Is it trying to get an outcome? When you're doing anything for a reason besides love, when you're trying to accomplish something or doing something out of fear, trying to attain something, that's not simply a courageous love embodiment. So be aware of that. You know, you can duke it out with the universe all you want at the end. We're all going to come to the same place, you know, which is the best way to invoke your twin flame without forcing is to say to the universe, universe, I know that you know what I want. You brought it to me one time before. I know that you can bring this to me in an even more complete form. And I trust you to do that. And I am not going to limit what you can bring to me by putting a label on what it is that you must bring. So simply accept any love that the universe wants to bring to you in any form that it brings you. And that sets off a train of events that leads to that ultimate union.
So that brings me to the concept of receiving. You know, what would you tell people to practice to start being able to receive? Because we can ask all we want, but if we don't even know, you know, if we're always deflecting and really don't know how to appreciate or receive, what would you say to people?
So, in order to be free of anything that's holding you down in your moment, you have to actually learn to appreciate what's in front of you. That's how you transcend it. So reach that point. I know it's hard, but you just have to come to a point where you can appreciate in your moment what's there, and then that's how you graduate. So doing that, and then I'm sorry, what was the last part of your question?
Just how you would recommend someone to be open to receiving.
You have to stop putting it in a box. Okay, universe, this is how it needs to look when you bring it, and it has to be all these things and da-da-da. Okay, that's like the child trying to tell the parent what you need. Like, no, I know what you need. I'm the parent. I'll take care of this. You know, let the universe bring you the vibration of what you want without labeling the shape, size, color, or name of it. Mm-hmm. Simply that. Simply be like, universe, I trust you. That's the faith that's going to bring your manifestation.
Or please give me XYZ or something better.
There you go. Or you know, it could come in this form of this person, or another if you think that's better, you know?
Well, guess what? We are 2 minutes away from 11:11 Hawaii time.
Yay! All right. So no matter, okay, energy transcends time and space. So no matter who's listening to this at any time, anywhere at 11:11, let them know when it's 11:11, and everybody is going to set their intentions in that moment.
And okay, it's 10 after. So would you say, invite everyone to sink into their heart, to drop into their heart and imagine that intention like coming, beaming out from their heart and beaming in? What would you say?
I'm just going to read this thing that I wrote this morning or last night. Okay. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When the wisher is ready, the star will appear. 11:11, make a wish. Bow your head and set your intentions for this day. Set your intentions forward, wishing away all doubt, fear, and resistance, solutions to problems seen and unseen for the highest good of all. And so it is. Is it 11:11 yet?
No, now it is.
Okay. I wish for you on this day a return to love, a return to joy. I wish away all your resistance, all your doubts, all your fears. What I wish for you is kind, is always real, is always true. I wish upon a star for you that planet Earth will be anew, that planet Earth and all humans too will release all doubts and fears and woes. I wish tonight with all my might, the cosmic forces at my side, my venture here will burn so bright, I'll light the path I'm meant to light and shine upon all souls in sight. My warmth will make a difference here, felt by all who venture near. All who see me will so know that love exists, and this I know. My love is real, my love is true, and this truth is of my twin flame too. Choose it yes or choose it no, but fears nevermore will run the show. Tonight, I know free will for all to choose their light and choose to grow. We step into our divinity, all of us shine willingly. All the hopeless feeling ones will turn to help and truth and love. All the ones who make this wish will have their manifested gift of love on this day. Happy wishing, the cosmos.
Aloha.
I guess you felt that. I felt it too.
Well, that's a beautiful one to end it on. That way people can fast forward it to the end and listen to it again tonight at their time at 11:11 p.m. So one last thing I want to ask you, do you have an exercise in grounding down your wishes or your dreams or your prayers? What is the act of embodiment or grounding it down?
Let it go. Let it go. Forget about it. Distract yourself. Just know that it's in the hands of the universe and surrender. That's the finite end of the grounding into manifestation.
I love it. And that's the balancing act of dreaming it big, stating it, sending out that arrow, just sending it out.
Yeah.
Total release and trust and slight expectation.
Expectation in the form of faith.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been such a pleasure chatting with you, and happy 11:11. Is there anything else you'd like to say in closing?
No, thank you so much. I enjoyed this way more than I could have ever thought. Thank you.
All right. Aloha. Thank you for all the work you're doing in the world.
Thank